All right, seem to got the internet figured out now. So at some point, I will make these videos, actually edit them, and not do them live. But with being short on time and wanting to still be able to create content, specifically for CrossFit affiliates that are either struggling with their marketing or just creating content and posting to social media in general, um, that's going to be the main topics of conversation. But one thing that was top of mind coming back from the Two Brain Business Summit, I was discussing with John Franklin. He's the new CEO and now owner of Two Brain Business. Um, roughly around like different models that gyms are using to still actually make money. And I want to talk about that on this video in particular because if I start to make some more content around marketing and getting people into your gym, and there's not really a sustainable model to keep them there and for you to be able to offer them more stuff and also make more money, it won't really survive very long. So, no, Kenneth, the answer isn't more AI, but close. What I've been talking about is first a little bit of the history of the group class model. Like a lot of the time, there was always personal training, and I think mostly popularized by like karate classes and stuff became like these large group classes. And CrossFit with Greg Glassman actually started as like personal training into semi-private training. And then early on, as CrossFit was growing, it was just easier to apply into the group model fitness. You get the community. At that time, it was buzzing, so people were just coming through the door left and right just because it said CrossFit above it. And now I think the landscape has really changed, and I think we're almost cycling back to more of the era when Greg started CrossFit and needing to really take a either personal training or semi-private training approach to then graduate people into the group classes. And what I'm going to show you here is the current model of CrossFit Livermore. So these are the exact things that we're doing, and in the order that we did them in, and how that's kind of evolved. And so as I take you guys through this, that's what the point of this here is, to hopefully be able to take something away, look and analyze the current model that you're running, and find out where we can make improvements, where you could offer more, and all that good stuff. So I'm going to set this up as a first background, drop myself into a small box. So we start here, which is the group class membership. This is what most CrossFit gyms offer. Typically, it's like a 3 days a week, or it's a unlimited membership. Sometimes have 2 days a week. There's also drop-ins and punch cards. So that's what everything that kind of falls under your group class membership in the typical large group class offering that you get with the CrossFit gym. The first thing I am going to suggest that you guys add, if you aren't already, is some sort of community challenge or community events. I'm not talking about a big blowout local competition, but what I'm talking about here is, do you have something like Murph where it's all internal for your members? Do you have small events that are happening every quarter or once a month that they could attend? Do you also have any challenges? In this case, we do like the nutrition challenge once a year in January, this big blowout 8-week thing. So like, where can you do things like that that are going to be reoccurring on a much slower basis, but will still add value to your community and be opportunities to potentially bring new people in? We just finished Bring a Friend week here at the gym, and that actually went really well in terms of giving the whole week of classes up for our members to bring in their friends and family to give it a try. So it could be something very simple like that, but think about some sort of way to present a community challenge, some sort of event. And the reason why I'm building it this way is because I'm under the assumption, or I will assume as I make this content, that you're like just starting out and it might just be you having to run everything, or you and a couple part-time coaches. So if you have a bigger staff, then, and you're already doing quarterly events, find a way to increase it to monthly, big and small. Outside of just competitions, although it's not like a dirty word or anything like that. I just think more people are going to come to challenges that will benefit them outside of just being competitive. So the second thing you'll want to add, in addition to the group classes, if you don't already have it, is some sort of onboarding process. So in our case, we started to incorporate the ability to do an in-body scan, as well as a blood panel from the CrossFit Medical Society. Then just the typical onboarding process of a no sweat intro, where they come in, talk to us for about 15 minutes. And then our foundations currently right now is 4 classes that they're required to attend on Monday, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays at 5:30. And that is the normal group class that they're doing, but they get a shadow, like a friend coach that is with them the whole entire time, giving extra feedback, introducing them to people around them, making sure they feel really comfortable learning in that group environment. So that is the first two things that you should consider adding, especially that onboarding process. Like, have that thought through. And if you don't have something that you're intentionally doing outside of, we just do this because we've always done it this way, then maybe it's time to re-examine that. And for us, like, we really found that just getting people involved with the community, having to make a few friends, and then having them feel comfortable and continuing to learn in the group class environment was more effective than like 5 or 6 personal training days where you try to teach them everything in one go. Typically, those we had trouble converting over into the group class membership because we've been giving them this personal training experience, even though they signed up for group class. And now they're having a hard time going from group class into, or from the personal training foundations into group class. So as you guys build staff, or as you're looking to find more source of revenue for yourself personally, the next thing I'm going to suggest that we add here is some sort of personal training. Now, you typically will have a couple members that'll want this with inside your member base already. Even if you just offer it out, maybe it's just 5 sessions to work on a skill, or maybe they just want that continued personal attention and a program built out for them. So have the ability to offer personal training. Albert here at CFL, his calendar is constantly filled to where he had to like raise his prices even more to put a filter on it, just because he was just running out of time simply with the amount of clients that he had. So that's a way for you, if you have a part-time coach too as well, to work out some sort of deal and then allow them to pick up personal training clients and grow their revenue within your gym, if you're somebody who's slowly building staff. So we've tried this in multiple different ways. Like I said, hour-long sessions is usually the way to do it. We also did a further faster program, which actually did really well. The only reason why we haven't sold more of those is because we need to keep it top of mind in terms of advertising it and displaying it to our members. But that was more of a half-hour sessions in a small program that came with that to build capacity or strength in a specific movement or skill. So there's many different ways you can frame your personal training if you don't necessarily have a ton of time to book hour-long sessions in the traditional way. Now, after we got both of those squared away, some sort of ongoing quarterly community event, something to keep your members happy, some opportunity for them to bring their friends in, something to give them to work out and train for. Once you have that dialed, then move on to your onboarding process. What does it look like as you incubate new people into your gym? And are you doing a good job of that to make them feel comfortable and keep for at least 90 days is our goal in the group classes. Then we have personal training. And the reason why the arrows go back and forth between personal training is because sometimes you could bring clients in on personal training, and after you've worked with them to a certain period of time, like graduate them into the group class, or people that are already currently in your group classes may want personal training. So that kind of goes both ways, as opposed to the health assessment that just brings them directly into the group classes. Now, our next one here is going to be semi-private training. So I've had conversations recently with some affiliate owners that are just getting started, and this is the way that I tell them to start out and offer the semi-private training. We've done that for about a year now at CFL, and Albert runs that program here, and it's done phenomenal. And it allows your members to really focus in. In this case, we're going through a squat and squat clean technique. So it's kind of 2 movements that they're focused on for 6 weeks at a time. And we keep the group small on purpose. Usually we try to keep it at 12, maybe like 15 if there's experienced members that are coming into those classes. But we keep those groups small, and they work on the same thing for the 6 weeks, 2 days a week, coached classes, specific strength training. And that's done well, not only with the members that want to focus on that are currently here, but it's also done well to bring back old members into the gym, or maybe like the high intensity workout was a little bit rough for them to get started in, or maybe just wasn't their cup of tea in general. And then now you could branch off and do this like dedicated strength training program, 6 weeks, and that's going to be more appealing to them. Once they come back into the gym, they're back in the habit, then it wouldn't surprise me, and this is what we've seen as well, them go to the group class membership as they're kind of filling their time between the next 6 week strength program. So that's why there's a double arrow there, because it does go both ways. Your members will want to switch over. We give them a heavy discounted price off of the semi-private training for that 6-week block because they're already members of the gym. But it also works to bring new people into the gym and potentially into your group classes as well. That one takes a little bit more because if you're running those semi-private training classes at the same time as your group classes, like we are, then number one, you have to have the space. Number two, you have to have the coaches. So it takes a little bit more in terms of resources to potentially pull that one off. If you're a single owner operator, my suggestion would be is just block out a couple hours for that semi-private training and teach them yourself, because with that, you could give some more detail, you could give some more value. You'll have longer retention with those members as they go through that program, but you'll be able to do it still without having a massive gym or coaches that could help you out if you block out specific hours. I was talking about in terms of strength training. This could be in terms of gymnastics training. This could be in terms of cardio. We're going to launch a cardio one soon here at CFL in the next couple of weeks. So this could really be any semi-private training focused around a specific targeted thing like strength training or conditioning or something like that. And again, we've seen that do well inside and out of the gym. So the next one here, I'll shift over to this side, is going to be specialty courses. We do specialty courses at the gym here. Sometimes we've brought in subject matter experts like Dave Newman from RX Jump Rope, who's taught a clinic here. We've had a gymnastics clinic ran by CrossFit in the past here. That was like quite a few years ago. But typically I do the specialty courses. And the reason why it has like the arrow to the membership, the group class membership, is if you wanted to, you could make those courses have a fee. I don't charge my members for them. And in fact, they could bring people to the seminar with them, and we advertise it to the gyms at large, and those are completely free. And the reason why it has a arrow pointing is because you might get a few people in there that are just kind of do CrossFit at another gym, just maybe did in the past, want to get back into whatever it is that you're teaching or whatever it is that you're running. These are one-day courses, by the way. And they come back into the gym, they take the course, and they might shift over and become a member. So you might see that happening with those courses. But I also like it because it helps the current members get a better understanding. I usually teach them around gymnastics, so we'll focus in on like a specialty course or a specialty seminar day with one specific skill, like rope climb or handstand. And it's cool because that focused hour or hour and a half, however many people you have join, really gives your members like a better and detailed understanding of a specific skill that you're not going to just have time for in the group classes. But as offering it, that helps retain them in the group class. And if you open that up for other people, it could bring people into your gym and help grow your membership. Final note about the specialty courses is we've started to use it as a recruiting tool for coaches. So I've done a coaching development course here. I've done it a couple of times. Last time I pushed it to all the gyms in the Bay Area. Typically we've just done them internally, but I open it up to people that are also not coaches that just kind of want to peek behind the curtain. Like, hey, do you want to see behind the scenes of what it's like to become a coach, the way that we think about things, you know, all of that stuff, and offered up to their members here. And then in this case, to the gyms at large. So we had about, I think it was like 10 or 12 coaches in here from throughout the Bay Area. It was really cool. We got to develop and work on our craft a little bit, but more importantly, you kind of establish yourself now as like, hey, we develop coaches here. If any of the coaches are in the area that are looking for it, or most importantly, members that just were curious about coaching that might be a good fit for the gym, you now have presented an opportunity for them to learn a little bit and then potentially move into becoming a coach. So it's worked really well as a potential recruiting tool too. Our final ones here, I'm gonna like run out of space on the page. I should have thought this through a little bit more. Is second to last one is going to be youth strength and conditioning. So ours is called Next Gen. We started it a few years back, then we took a couple months off, then we got back into it. And when we got back into it here, we rebranded as Next Gen and reached out pretty aggressively to all the sports directors, a lot of teams, into our own internal community to let them know that we were teaching, hey, from kids now from ages ages 10 to 13. We have Next Gen available for them. It's basic strength and conditioning. And that helped quite a bit. That class grew relatively large. I think for this summer session, we're at like 21 kids that are in that class. So it's really great. We got 2 coaches on the floor. Again, this is going to take more time, space, and resources to run a youth strength and conditioning. So that's why it's one of the last things that is on here. But again, if you have the ability to, it's been great. And now that we've seen this really work internally with the new systems that we have for it, with the parents coming in through Wodify and us having them all check in and everything else, we've been actually to get a few parents to sign up for semi-private training and for group class membership, just because they're bringing their kids in here. They're kind of at the tail end of the class. They see the people, they might know some people in here. And that's really helped just as like a referral base way to bring people in. And they're already bringing their kids here. They might as well come in and work out as well. So that's going to be the youth strength and conditioning. And then the last one here, shift over to the other side, is going to be the same thing, but for teenagers. And obviously you could choose which group that you start with. We did next gen because I had coaches that were passionate about wanting to teach that. And obviously we have the space and the resources to be able to do so. So we set them up there. I've always enjoyed teaching the teenagers, a little bit of the older kids that are, doing it for their sport and everything else, or potentially might be going to college. Like that age group was more, I was more excited to teach. So I run that class and started up. But again, the next gen coaches are more than qualified to teach that one as well. So as I develop that group, we'll kind of switch that out and eventually introduce some new coaches to it, especially when the hours change and it goes back to afternoons. And so as you guys can see here, we have the whole entire, let me just move myself to the top and then you guys will actually be able to see it. 1 second. There we go. Okay. So as you can see here, it's funny. It kind of looks like some sort of like weird looking image now that I'm at the top of it. But all of these feed into our group classes. And the cool thing is I've advertised in the youth strength and conditioning. I've advertised our health assessment. We've advertised our semi-private stuff. We've done advertisements in recruiting with our member through community events. And then obviously the teenage thing. And so I've worked with all of these things. And the main thing to them is just to keep up and keep consistent with them, because all of them work really well, but they don't work if you don't constantly work them and then bring people in to help. That's something that we really dove into, I would say, over like the last like 6 months, maybe a year, close to now, but slowly putting all these programs, tightening them up, making sure that we have the correct coaches doing them and we have the resources to be able to do it. And especially coming into this summer, with all of them going now, it's a cool flywheel that not only creates opportunities for your coaches, not only brings more value to your members and gives them more personalized stuff or gives them more option for the family, but all of those programs run as like one big recruiting tool as parents and kids and everybody start to refer each other to come on into the gym. And so if you are still just running all the way back at square one here with just the group class membership, and I'm a visual person, so I like to see these differences, you are missing out at the potential of all this opportunity that will also help grow your class membership. So again, traditional model starting out versus all of this here. And earlier I'd made the mention of Greg Glassman starting out with like the personal training, then switching to semi-private training, then leading it to the big group class. So this could also be the same evolution if you're somebody who's just starting out at a gym, you don't have the space potentially, or you don't have the resources with the coaches on hand to start to run something elaborate with all these. You could always start with just yourself, personal training, high price ticket, lots of value and results to your members, just focusing 100% on them. Once they start to tell their friends and they want to train with you, slowly make that shift to semi-private training. Hey, good news. You guys got to save money. You don't have to pay me as much. And I found you a couple workout partners. Then eventually pushing towards a group class model, if that's the way you want to go. In all honesty, if everything got erased and I started back over tomorrow, I would probably stick with the semi-private and personal training thing and just work a few busy hours throughout the day and have the rest of the day to work on whatever. And as long as you controlled your expenses, you probably turn out to be more lucrative with that model, especially if you're already coaching all your classes. So I hope that helped you guys out in terms of thinking about the models there. I'm going to be doing, like I said, more regular, very specific affiliate marketing and different stuff like that, content. And then these will be live here, but then they will go on the school platform. So if you guys join that, it's completely free for coaches and owners. We basically just have a big melting pot of ideas. There's a forum on there. We have a partnership with Wodify, so they load up a ton of cool stuff in the classroom as well. So go check that out. The link is in the description. Also, last but not least, if you guys want any help with your marketing or anything else like that, that's Gym Creatives. That's a QR code to the website. Go to the website, book a call. You can chat with one of us, and we can help you out with your media marketing or your content creation. Thanks for hanging out. We will see you guys on the next one.